was only invited because they had an empty chair. That was the first thought in my head as I stood outside the restaurant in downtown Chicago, watching my reflection in the glass door. My friend Tyler had texted me an hour before saying they needed one more person for a birthday dinner. His words sounded friendly, but I heard the truth under them. They just needed to fill a seat. I almost said no. It had been a long week, and I was tired of feeling like the extra guy in the group. The one who showed up, laughed at everyone's stories, and then went home alone to a small apartment that felt more like a waiting room than a home. But I said yes anyway, because staying home and scrolling my phone sounded worse. The host led me through the restaurant, past warm lights and clusters of people talking over soft music. The place was cozy but busy. Dark wood tables, big windows facing the street, the smell of garlic and grilled steak in the air. I could see my friends at a long table near the back, already talking, already laughing. Tyler waved when he saw me. "There he is," he said. "Our hero. The table is officially complete." Everyone laughed. It was not mean, but it still stung a little. I smiled and pulled out the empty chair, the one at the very end of the table. Of course it was at the end. Not in the middle, not between anyone, just the spare seat. "Glad you could make it, Ryan," said Claire, the one whose birthday it was. She was sitting closer to the middle, a little crown on her head and a glass of wine in her hand. "Wouldn't miss it," I said. That was a lie. I almost had. I sat down and tried to relax. People were already deep into their own conversations. Couples leaned in close. Old friends shared inside jokes. I listened, laughed when it felt right, and took sips of water while I waited for the server to notice that everyone else had a drink except me. I told myself I was fine. This was normal. Sometimes you are just the extra person at the edge of the table. Nothing wrong with that. Still, there was a small, heavy feeling in my chest, like I was watching a movie I was not really part of. The server came over and took my drink order. "Just a soda's good," I said. Tyler tapped his glass. "Hey, we might have one more joining us," he said to the group. Long story. They were not sure they could make it, so, if someone shows up and looks lost, wave. "Who is it?" I asked. He shrugged. "Friend of a friend. Emily. You will like her, she is chill." I nodded like I did not care, but something in me woke up a little. Maybe it was the idea that someone else might walk in feeling just as out of place as I did. Maybe it was the way he said her name, like it already came with a story. Dinner rolled on. Appetizers came and went. People clinked glasses and shared stories from college or work. I spoke when someone asked me something, but most of the time I watched. The overhead lights made everything look soft, like the night was wrapped in a warm filter. I checked the door a few times without meaning to. No one new came in. Maybe she is not coming, I thought. The seat next to me was still empty. Pushed in, napkin folded, glass untouched. Figures. Even the seat next to me does not want company. Tyler was telling a story about some disaster at his office holiday party when I heard the door open behind me again. I was not facing it, but I felt a draft of cooler air and a shift in the room. Soft footsteps moved over the floor, slow, unsure. Like someone was trying to find their place. "Hey, Emily," I heard Claire call from down the table. "We are back here." I looked up. She was walking toward us, shrugging off a light, tan coat as she came. She had light brown hair that fell just past her shoulders, a little messy from the wind outside. Her eyes were a warm hazel, curious and a little nervous, like she was not sure if she was late or early or completely out of place. She wore a simple dark green sweater and jeans, nothing loud or fancy, but somehow she looked like the most put-together person in the room. As she got closer, she gave a small smile to the table, the kind of smile that says, "Sorry, I am late, and also I hope I am not interrupting." "Sorry," she said. Traffic was awful, and I circled the block twice before I found parking. "No worries," Tyler said. "We saved you a spot." He nodded toward the empty chair next to me. "Of course." Her eyes followed his gesture, then landed on me. For a second, it felt like the rest of the room blurred. She gave me a quick, apologetic smile. "Is it okay if I sit here?" she asked. Her voice was soft but clear, the kind of voice that made you lean in without trying. I could have just said yes, but my chest tightened, and I felt every awkward part of myself stand up and wave. "Yeah," I said, "this seat was waiting for you anyway." She laughed lightly and slid into the chair beside me. As she settled in, she slipped off her coat, and I caught the faint scent of something warm and clean, like vanilla and fresh laundry, the kind of smell that reminded me of Sunday mornings in quiet kitchens. The server rushed over to hand her a menu and take her drink order. She thanked him, then turned a little toward me. "I am Emily," she said. "We have not met, right?" "Ryan," I said. "I am the official extra seat for the night." Quote. I meant it as a joke, but as soon as the words left my mouth, I wished I could drag them back. I sounded more bitter than funny. She studied my face for a second, like she heard the truth under the joke. Then she smiled, slow and sincere. "Well," she said, "I am really glad they saved this seat. I did not want to sit anywhere else." Something in my chest shifted, like a door opening. For the first time that night, the room did not feel so loud and far away. For the first time, the end of the table did not feel like the leftover spot. It felt like the night was finally starting. Emily smiled at me like she had decided something. I was not sure what, but it made my shoulders relax a little. "So Ryan," she said, "how did they recruit you for this dinner?" I took a sip of my soda and looked down the table, where Tyler was now trying to balance a spoon on his nose while everyone laughed. "Last-minute text," I said. "Apparently this chair would be empty without me. I am here on official seat filling duty." She raised her eyebrows. "You got the empty chair speech, too." I looked at her. "You, too?" She picked up the menu and opened it, but her eyes stayed on mine for a second longer than needed. "Tyler called me an hour ago," she said. "Said they needed one more person to even out the table." I was halfway in sweats and halfway in my day being over. I almost said no. "Why did you say yes?" I asked. She gave a small shrug and scanned the menu. "I do not know. I guess I was tired of my own thoughts tonight." And he said there would be dessert, so that helped. I laughed, and it surprised me how easy it felt. The tension in my chest loosened a little. There was something comforting about knowing she was not supposed to be here either. Like we were both backup plans that ended up sitting side by side. The server came to take our orders. She got grilled salmon. I ordered a burger I did not really care about. When he walked away, the talking grew louder around us. Music played softly above our heads. Lights from the street outside spilled across the floor in long stripes. "So what do you do, official seat filler Ryan?" she asked. "I am a graphic designer," I said. "I work for a small agency near the river. We do logos, websites, all that stuff. What about you?" "Second-grade teacher," she said, "in a school on the north side. My kids think I am famous because I am taller than them and can open paint jars." I smiled. "That is kind of famous." She tilted her head. "What made you pick design?" I thought about all the times I had stayed late at the office just to fix small details because I wanted things to feel right. I thought about how I liked taking messy ideas and making them clear. "I like making things that feel like they fit," I said. Like when people see a logo or a poster and think, "Yeah, that belongs." I do not know. It is the one thing that does not make me feel like the extra chair at the table. As soon as I said it, I felt shy. I had just met her. I should have kept it lighter. But Emily did not pull away. She rested her elbow on the table and leaned in a little, her hazel eyes steady on my face. "I get that," she said quietly. "Sometimes I feel like I only exist between 8 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, when the kids are there. Before and after that, it is like life is just waiting for the next school day." Her words sat between us for a moment. The noise around us faded, and all I could hear was the clink of glasses and the sound of her soft breath. "You live alone?" I asked. She nodded. "Small apartment, a few blocks from here. You?" "Same," I said. "Place on the west side. It is fine. Just feels like a room where I recharge my phone and myself and then leave again." She smiled in a sad kind of way. "I get that too." Someone down the table called Emily's name and asked her how she knew Claire. She turned slightly and answered, but she kept her chair angled toward me. Her shoulder was a few inches from mine. Every time she laughed at something from the other end of the table, I felt the sound in my chest. Our food came, and for a few minutes we focused on that. When she tried her salmon, her eyes lit up. "This tastes like someone prayed over it," she said. I laughed and nearly choked on my burger. "Careful," she said with a grin, nudging my arm lightly. The contact was small, but it felt like an electric spark that did not hurt. It just woke up something in me. "Okay, so give me 3 facts about you," she said, pointing her fork at me. "But they cannot be boring. No favorite color or I like pizza. I need real facts." "Real facts are dangerous," I said. "That is the point." I thought for a second. Then I decided I was tired of playing the safe, quiet guy at the edge of things. "Fine," I said. 1. I moved to Chicago 3 years ago because I thought living in a big city would make me feel less alone. That did not exactly work out, but the food is great. 2. I still play guitar in my apartment, but only when my neighbors are loud so I can hide in the noise. And 3. I say yes to plans I am not excited about because I'm afraid one day I will say no to the wrong night. She watched me as I spoke, like she was reading each word and putting it somewhere important in her mind. "That was very real," she said softly. "Okay, my turn." She counted on her fingers. 1. I wanted to be an artist when I was a kid, but everyone kept telling me teaching was a safer job, so I chose that and never really went back to try. 2. I talk to my plants like they are people, and I swear they grow better when I do. And 3. I almost did not come tonight because I was sure I would feel like a stranger in the middle of someone else's story. Her voice grew quieter on that last line. I felt my throat tighten. "Do you still feel like a stranger?" I asked. She met my eyes. The candles on the table flickered between us, throwing small shadows across her face. "Not right now," she said. For a moment, the whole restaurant felt like it had shrunk into our small corner. The warmth, the noise, the laughter, all of it blurred around us. Being at the end of the table did not feel like the leftover spot anymore. It felt like we had our own place apart from everyone else. Claire raised her glass for a toast, and the whole table joined in. We lifted our drinks, said happy birthday, clinked glasses. Emily bumped her glass gently against mine. "It's not saying no to the wrong night," she whispered. I held her gaze while I took a sip. As the night went on, we kept drifting back into our own quiet bubble. She told me about funny things her students had said. I told her about a logo project that had gone terribly wrong. We complained about parking, laughed about bad dates, and shared small pieces of ourselves like we were trading secrets in a safe place. At one point, Tyler leaned over and gave me a look. "You two are getting along," he said with a smirk. Emily just smiled and reached for her water. "We were both hired as professional seat fillers," she said. "We have a lot to bond over." When dessert finally came, the lights felt softer, the room warmer. Someone ordered a big plate of shared cake for the table. Emily and I ended up splitting a slice, our forks brushing more than once. Each small touch felt like a tiny promise. As people started checking their phones and talking about rides and early mornings, I felt a small panic rising in me. The night was ending. I did not want it to end. Emily pulled her phone from her pocket and glanced at the time. "I should probably head out soon," she said. "I have lesson plans to finish and a class full of tiny people who expect me to know what I am doing." My heart sank a little. "Oh," I said. "Yeah, of course." She looked at me, then at the window where the city lights shined against the glass. The street outside looked cold but alive. "Hey," she said. "How far are you parked?" "A block away," I said. "You?" "Kind of close," she said. "Do you want to walk out together?" The question seemed simple, but it did not feel simple. It felt like a door opening, like the night had one more choice left in it. "Yeah," I said. "I would like that." "Good," she said. She smiled, and in that moment, with people putting on coats and the server clearing plates and the night stretching outside the windows, I felt something shift again inside me. I had come here to fill a seat. Now, walking out of this restaurant with her felt like the beginning of something that might finally feel like home. We left in small waves. People stood up, stretched, hugged Claire, wrapped scarves around their necks. The room felt different now, softer and slower, like the night was taking a deep breath. Emily slipped on her tan coat, her hair brushing the collar, and picked up her small crossbody bag from the back of her chair. "You ready?" she asked. I nodded and grabbed my jacket from the hook near the wall. Tyler gave me a quick side hug and leaned in to whisper. "Walk her out, man," he said under his breath. "She is good people." I rolled my eyes, but my heart was already doing that jumpy thing in my chest. When I turned back, Emily was waiting for me by the door to the hallway, hands tucked into her pockets, eyes on me like I was not just one more person in the crowd. We walked through the restaurant together, past the bar and the host stand, the sound of plates and low music fading behind us. When we stepped outside, the cold hit us in the face like a reminder that it was still winter, no matter how warm the inside had felt. The city was alive. Streetlights painted yellow circles on the sidewalk. Cars rolled by in slow lines. There was a thin wind that carried the smell of snow and exhaust and something fried from a nearby food truck. She pulled her coat tighter around herself and blew a small cloud of breath into the air. "Okay," she said. That temperature was rude. I laughed and zipped my jacket up all the way. Yeah, Chicago does not do gentle. We started walking in the same direction without talking about it. Our shoulders almost touched, and every time our hands swung close, I felt an awareness between us, like gravity. "Which way is your car?" I asked. She pointed ahead. "Down this block, on the corner. Where are you?" "Same way," I said. "Side street after the light." She glanced up at me. Of course, seat fillers stick together. For a moment, neither of us said anything. Our footsteps echoed softly on the concrete. The air was cold enough to make my nose sting, but I felt strangely warm inside, like the heat from the restaurant had come out with us. "My apartment is not far from here," she said. "Sometimes I walk on nice days. This is not one of those days." Quote, "You like living close to everything?" I asked. She thought about it. "I like the idea of it," she said. "I like knowing I could decide to go somewhere and just walk there. But most days, I just go from my place to school and back. I pass all these lights and signs, and it feels like they are for other people." I nodded. "I get that. The city is like a party you are technically invited to, but do not really feel part of." She looked at me with a soft smile. "You always talk like that." "Like what?" "Like you are standing outside a moment, watching it and describing it." I was quiet for a second. Maybe I am just used to being on the outside. She stopped at the edge of the crosswalk and looked straight at me, her eyes warm and clear even under the harsh streetlight. "You did not feel like you were on the outside tonight," she said, "at least not to me." The light changed, and we started walking across the street. Her words stayed with me, heavier than the traffic around us. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Sure." "Why did you sit next to me so easily?" I asked. "You did not know me. You could have picked any other spot at the table if it opened up." She thought about that for a moment, then gave a little shrug. "When I walked in, I already felt late and out of place," she said. "Everyone else had their little circles. You looked like you were there, but not really in any of those circles. I figured if I sat down next to you, at least I would not be the only one who felt like that." "And now?" I asked. She smiled, almost shy. "Now it does not feel like I sat next to an extra seat," she said. "It feels like I sat next to the reason I am glad I did not stay home." The street noise around us faded for a second. I swallowed, my throat suddenly tight. "I was not planning on hearing something like that tonight," I said. "Me neither," she replied. We reached the corner where she had parked. Her car was under a streetlight, thin layer of frost clinging to the windshield. She stopped and turned to face me fully. The light caught the brown in her eyes, making them look almost golden. "This is me," she said, "the glamorous silver sedan." I laughed. "It has character." She smiled and leaned against the side of the car for a second, like she was not ready to open the door yet. "So," she said, "was tonight one of those plans you said yes to even though you were not excited about it?" "Yeah," I said honestly, "definitely was." "And now," she asked. I let myself look at her, really look this time, at the way her hair brushed her cheeks, at the way her hands held the strap of her bag, at the way her eyes were searching mine like she was waiting for something true. "Now I am scared of what would have happened if I had said no," I said. She looked down, then back up at me, and there was a new kind of softness in her face. "I keep thinking about that too," she said. "How close I was to staying home. How close you probably were." I nodded. "I almost texted Tyler that I was sick. I almost told him I had too much work." We both laughed, but it was quiet, almost nervous. The kind of laugh people share when they realize they just walked past a door that could have stayed closed. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Can I tell you something a little embarrassing?" she asked. "Absolutely," I said. "When I sat down next to you," she said, "I felt weirdly safe. I do not know why. I do not usually feel that way with new people. But you did not feel like a stranger. You felt like someone I had already talked to before, even though I knew I had not." Her words hit me in a place I did not have a name for. "I felt that too," I said. Like I was finally where I was supposed to be, instead of just where there was space. We stood there in the cold, caught in a quiet place between leaving and staying, between strangers and something more. I could feel the usual fear creeping up on me, the one that told me not to mess this up, not to say something too real, not to want too much. But another part of me, the part that was tired of empty chairs and half-felt nights, pushed back. "Emily," I said softly, "I know we just met. I know this is one dinner, one night. But I do not want this to be the end of it. I do not want this to be the part where we say it was nice meeting you and then go back to our separate lives like it never happened." Her eyes searched mine like she was looking for any sign that I was not serious. "It was not just a nice dinner for me," she said. "It felt like something I have been missing for a while. I do not want to pretend it was nothing either." I took a slow breath. "Can I see you again?" I asked. "On purpose this time, not as backup, not as an extra seat. Just you and me." She looked down at her hands, then back up, a smile growing on her lips, small but real. "I was hoping you would ask that," she said. My chest lifted, relief rushing through me so fast I almost laughed. She pulled her phone from her pocket and held it out to me. "Here," she said. "Put your number in. I am not letting a night like this be a one-time thing." I took her phone, fingers brushing hers, and typed my number. I called my own phone from hers, so I would have her contact too. When my phone buzzed in my pocket, it felt like proof that the night was going somewhere beyond this sidewalk. "What should I save you as?" I asked. She smiled. "Emily, professional seat saver," she said. I typed it in and showed her the screen. She laughed, and the sound warmed the air between us. "Text me when you get home," she said. "So I know you did not get taken out by black ice." "Only if you text me too," I replied. "Deal." She opened her car door, then paused and looked at me again, eyes soft and serious. "Ryan," she said, "tonight did not feel like a random extra plan. It felt like the start of something. I do not know what yet, but I want to find out." My heart was pounding, but it was not the scared kind of pounding. It was the alive kind. "Me too," I said. She gave me one last smile, the kind that you feel long after you stop seeing it, then got into her car. As she drove away, I watched her taillights fade into the stream of traffic, then disappear. The street felt colder without her there, but inside me, something new had taken root. The walk to my own car felt different. The night did not feel empty. It felt open. I slid into the driver's seat and stared at my phone for a moment, her name glowing on the screen. For the first time in a long time, I was not afraid of what came next. I was excited. I sat in my car for a long second before turning the key. The windshield was fogged a little, the streetlights outside casting soft yellow shapes on the glass. My phone buzzed in my hand before I could even put it in my pocket. A new text. "Emily. Home. No black ice tragedy. Your turn." I smiled. The kind of smile that feels like it starts in your chest before it reaches your face. I typed back. "Made it to my car. Will report in when I survive the West Side streets." "Good," she replied. "I am not done talking to you yet." The drive home felt different. The same streets, the same turns, the same old brick buildings, but my mind was somewhere else. I kept replaying the way she had looked at me by her car, the way she said it felt like the start of something. I did not know what that something was, but for once, I was not scared of it. when I finally parked outside my building and climbed the stairs to my apartment, I texted her again. Home, no accidents, only a loud neighbor and a tired graphic designer. She answered almost right away. Good, the world still needs your logos and my second graders. Also, I had fun tonight. Me too, I wrote, more than I expected. There was a pause. I pictured her in her own place, phone in hand, thinking just like I was. Then my phone buzzed again. Do you want to see me this weekend? She wrote, on purpose this time. My heart did a little jump. Yes, very much, I typed. You pick. She took a moment, then replied. Saturday. There is a small coffee shop in Lincoln Park, the first like. Warm lights, plants, good muffins. 6:30. Deal. Deal, I wrote. Good night, professional seat saver, she added. Good night. Reason. I am glad they needed an extra chair, I answered. I set my phone down on the nightstand, but sleep did not come easy. My room still had the same faded posters, the same stack of laundry on the chair, the same buzzing heater. Yet everything felt slightly different, like a song I had heard before but was only now paying attention to. The next few days moved slower than usual. Work was the same. Emails, clients, color palettes. My coworkers talked about weekend plans, game nights, house parties. I tried to focus on my projects, but my mind kept drifting back to Saturday, to the coffee shop I had looked up on my phone during lunch. Bright coffee, small place on a corner, string lights in the window. I caught myself wondering what Emily would wear, if she would be nervous, if the feeling from the restaurant would still be there when it was just us. No birthday, no group, no extra chairs. By Saturday afternoon, my stomach felt like it was full of small storms. I almost texted her to make sure we were still on, then stopped myself. I did not want to sound unsure. I checked my phone anyway, just in case. At 5:45, a text came through. Hey, just finished grading math quizzes. Still on for tonight? Yes, I replied, leaving soon. Me too, she wrote, trying to make my hair listen to me. It is not going well. It will, I wrote. Your hair likes you. I will remember that, she replied. I stood in front of my small mirror, tried on 2 different jackets, then went back to the first one. Simple dark jeans, clean shoes, navy coat. I did not look like anyone special, but for the first time in a while, I wanted to try. The air was cold again when I stepped outside, but the sky was clear. Chicago lights blinked on in windows above me as I rode the train toward Lincoln Park. My reflection stared back at me in the dark glass, but I did not feel like the lonely guy heading home to nothing anymore. When I pushed open the door of Bright Coffee, a soft bell rang above my head. The shop was cozy and warm, a little world inside the city. There were plants on shelves, a chalkboard menu with crooked letters, and small wooden tables scattered under strings of lights. Soft music played, the kind that made you want to stay. Emily was there already, sitting at a small table near the window, a mug between her hands. Her green sweater had been traded for a soft cream one, and her hair was down, loose around her shoulders. When she saw me, her whole face lit up. "There you are," she said. "There you are," I echoed without meaning to. She stood a little like she might hug me, then seemed unsure, then laughed. I stepped closer and let instinct make the choice. I wrapped my arms around her in a quick, gentle hug. She hugged me back without hesitating. It felt natural, easy, like something that had been waiting to happen, not something forced. "You smell like winter air," she said when we pulled back. "And you smell like coffee and vanilla," I said. "Good. That is my brand." We sat down. I set my coat on the back of the chair. She pushed a second mug toward me. "I got you a hot chocolate," she said. "You look like someone who drinks hot chocolate at night instead of more caffeine." I smiled. "That is very accurate and a little spooky." "I am good at reading people," she said. "It comes with the job." We talked, at first about small things, like our week, work, kids at her school who had said funny things. Then the conversation shifted, like it had at the restaurant. We talked about family. about how she grew up in Ohio in a small town where everyone knew everyone. How she had come to Chicago for college and stayed because it was the first place that felt big enough for all the versions of herself she might be. I told her about growing up in a suburb outside Denver, where the most exciting thing was the new grocery store. How I had always looked at city skylines in pictures and wanted to live under one. How sometimes I still felt like I was pretending. "Do you ever feel like you are just visiting your own life?" I asked at one point. She was quiet for a moment, fingers tracing the rim of her mug. "Sometimes," she said. "Like I am on the outside of a window watching it, but tonight does not feel like that." "Tonight feels like what?" I asked. She looked at me, her eyes soft and steady. "Like I am inside it," she said. "Like I am actually here." Something in my chest loosened. We talked until the place started to empty out. People left in twos and threes, their voices fading into the night outside. The barista wiped down the counter, checked the clock, and smiled at us like she knew something we did not say. "How are you on time?" Emily asked. "I am good," I said. "I do not have anywhere I want to be more than here." Her cheeks flushed a little, and she looked down with a shy smile. "Good," she said. A few minutes later, the lights flickered. Twice. The barista looked up. The music cut out. For a second, the room was quiet and strange. Then some of the lights went out completely, leaving only the small bulbs over the counter and the glow from the street. "Power thing," the barista said. "Sorry, folks. We are closing up early just in case." We both stood, pulling on our coats. The barista held the door for us as we stepped outside. The night felt colder than before, but I did not mind. Emily tucked her hands into her pockets and walked close to me. "My apartment is about 3 blocks from here," she said. "If you want to walk me again." "I do," I said. We walked under the streetlights, past dark shops and tall houses with lit windows. Some had curtains open, and we could see small pieces of other lives. A family eating dinner. Someone watching TV. A couple sitting at a table, hands almost touching. "I like walking at night," she said. "It makes the city feel softer. Less loud." "I like it more now," I answered. We reached her building, a brick place with a small front stoop and a black railing. She stopped at the bottom step and turned to face me. "This is me," she said. "Home sweet, probably a little messy home." "I do not believe your place is messy," I said. "It is teacher messy," she said. "Papers and sticky notes, not dishes in the sink." She hesitated, then looked up at the sky and back at me. "Do you have to go right away?" she asked. "I could make tea. Or hot chocolate with too many marshmallows. You do not have to say yes, I am not ready for the night to be over." The old version of me, the one who did not want to bother anyone, would have said it was okay and left. But that version felt far away now. "I would like that," I said, "if you are sure." "I am," she answered. She led me up the steps and unlocked the front door. We climbed a narrow set of stairs that creaked under our feet. Her apartment was on the 2nd floor. She opened the door and flipped on a small lamp in the living room. It was simple but warm. A small couch with a worn blanket, a low coffee table with books and a candle on it, a narrow kitchen with a few dishes drying on the rack, plants on the windowsill, leaves reaching toward the glass. "This is it," she said, a little shy. "My tiny kingdom." I stepped inside and took it in. "It feels nice," I said. "Feels like you." "Is that good?" she asked. "It is very good." She smiled and went to the kitchen. "Hot chocolate or tea?" she called. "Hot chocolate," I said, "since you promised too many marshmallows." She laughed, and the sound bounced off the small space, filling it. I walked over to the window and looked out. From here, I could see the tops of the trees, the glow of the streetlights, the hint of the city beyond. Her apartment was not big. The walls were plain. The furniture was simple. But as she moved around, opening cabinets, humming under her breath, setting mugs on the counter, the place felt warm in a way I could not explain. Like the room itself was glad she was in it. She came back with 2 steaming mugs and sat beside me on the couch, our shoulders touching. "I never have people over," she said quietly. "Most of my life happens at school or outside. This place is where I come back to and just stop. "Thank you for letting me in," I said. "It feels like a big thing." "It is," she said, "but it also feels right." We talked more, about nothing and everything. She showed me a drawing one of her students had made for her. I showed her a logo concept on my phone. At some point, the candle on the table became the only light in the room besides the street glow. Without really thinking about it, I let my arm rest along the back of the couch. She leaned into me a little, her head almost touching my shoulder. "Is this okay?" I asked. "Yeah," she said softly, "more than okay." My heart beat steady, not wild. I felt present, fully in the moment, not watching from outside. "This feels strange," I said after a while. "In a bad way?" she asked. "In a good way," I said. I am sitting in a small apartment in Chicago with someone I met days ago. And it does not feel like I am in some random room. It feels like I have been here before. Like I am supposed to be here. She was quiet for a second, then spoke in a low voice. "That is how I feel about you," she said. "Tonight, when we were sitting in that coffee shop, and now here, it does not feel like there is an empty seat next to me anymore. It feels like I finally know who is supposed to be there." I turned a little so I could see her face. In the soft light, her eyes looked calm and sure. "You know what is funny," I said. "They invited me to that dinner just to fill a seat. I said yes because I did not want to feel alone at home. They invited me for the same reason," she said, "to balance the table. To make the numbers even." "And yet," I said. "And yet," she repeated. I reached for her hand, slow enough that she could move away if she wanted. She did not. Her fingers curled around mine like they had been waiting. "Thank you for sitting beside me," I said. She smiled, a small, tender smile that reached her eyes. "You made the restaurant feel less like a place I was passing through," she said. "And this," she added, giving my hand a light squeeze, "you make this night feel like home." Home, not my apartment, not her walls or furniture, the feeling between us. The ease. The warmth. I thought about all the nights I had spent on my own, half present, half somewhere else. For the first time, I was in a room that did not just hold me, it welcomed me. Because she was there. I lifted my free hand and brushed a loose strand of hair away from her face. She watched me, eyes soft, breathing steady. "Can I kiss you?" I asked. "Yes," she said. The kiss was gentle and slow, more like a promise than a question. There was no rush, no noise, just the quiet beating of two hearts that had almost missed each other. When we pulled back, she rested her forehead against mine for a moment. "This feels like the part of the story I did not know I was waiting for," she whispered. "Me too," I said. I did not know what tomorrow would look like, or next week, or next month. I did not know what we would call this, or how it would grow. But sitting there on that small couch, in that simple apartment in a big city, with her hand in mine and her head on my shoulder, I knew one thing with perfect clarity. I was not just filling a seat in her life. I had finally found a place where, with her beside me, the night did not feel empty or borrowed. It felt like home.